Hours for TradersPost, October 22nd, 2024. We're doing office hours on Tuesdays now.
It's a
The
better day.
down is up is down. What's going on here?
Trying to mix it up a little bit, throw people off kilter a little bit. Got to keep everyone on their toes. It's sort of like the markets. You think you know what's going to happen next, you don't. It's always a different outcome. No, I'm kidding.
My narcissism requires me to be there more during the week and not just on Fridays. And so we're going to split this up, and we're going to eventually move to 3 shows per day, 7 days a week. That's going to be like the plan.
3 shows a day, 7 days a week. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't know if I have the energy for that. I'll be honest.
AI. We're going to have AI versions of ourselves. People are not be able to tell the difference.
Well, the funny thing is people think we're real right now. So the beauty
That's
is
right.
this is already AI. See, you just glitched. Pay attention here because we're already using these tools.
Have you seen the Hey Gen AI post about people using it for a consultant in Zoom or another member in Zoom talking and responding to people?
But it sounds hilarious. Yeah. The next thing we're going to learn about is those guys that stack up multiple jobs. What do they call that? There's like a whole trend of this on Reddit. Overemployed. Yeah. Yeah. And they're just using AI to show up to all their meetings.
I loved overemployed, the idea of it, because I was doom scrolling through anti-work Reddit. And I was like, I need a antidote for this. And the overemployed people, they don't take no for an answer. They're like, okay, how can we figure out how to do 3 jobs at once? And it was so uplifting to, single mother of 3. I have 3 jobs, and I was able to pay off my house in a year. I'm like, okay, that's pretty brutal.
Whenever I hear the overemployed thing, not only does it sound like outright fraud, but effectively that's what being a contractor is like. If you're a consultant for multiple companies, then you're in theory employed with multiple companies, but the agreement is already that you would be working for other clients. So why not just do it the right way? I don't know.
Well, they were pretending. They pretend to be so they'll be in a meeting with somebody and then at the same time doing something else that's where it's like, okay, that's a problem.
Yeah, you're crossing lines here now.
All right. So we have a great crop of questions here for this week. We are going to be doing office hours every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. As far as we know, we're going to test this out, see how it goes. We're going to be doing how-to videos on Thursday, and then obviously a regular after hours on Friday. We're going to always love your feedback. So if you guys have any comments, better times, different ways, different things you want us to cover, obviously we're always looking for your feedback. Please leave them in the comments, post them in Discord, or send them in a support ticket. But for now, let's start with the questions that we have for this week. I would like to give a shout out before we start to our ambassadors, our TradersPost ambassadors, who are doing a great job in our Discord, helping out people who are messaging. I know there's at Chris, KRIS on Discord, and forgive me, I wanted to give a special shout out to him for this week because he was like everywhere over the last 10 days. And
the other one was Jonathan.
Yeah, Jonathan, right? Chris, I'm going to give you a big shout out because over the last 10 days you've been pretty active. I always love when I see the ambassadors there answering questions before we do, because even though we answer questions pretty quickly, and Cam always gets that comment, thank you very much for your quick answers. When the community beats you out, it means you're doing something well.
I like it.
Pretty much, Chris. All right, so someone was asking, so we have a wide variety of questions for this week. So this first one is going to be, there's no specific right answer to it, but I'd love to get your feedback if I may. And that's, how do people choose between prop firm companies? Specifically here, the person was asking about Apex and Topstep, but I was just wondering if there was any like truly differentiating factors for the prop firms that you take into consideration.
I mean, I don't claim to be any kind of prop firm expert yet. At this point, my only exposure has been to Topstep, and I've just liked the level of documentation that Topstep has provided. They've gone really thorough and really deep with a lot of the common questions that people have about the rules and what the risk parameters are. What is a maximum loss limit? What's the daily loss limit? So on and so forth. That said, I can't really compare it against anybody else that I've seen yet. I haven't really gone down that rabbit hole far enough. But if it were me, I'd be looking for, are the risk parameters clearly defined? Or is there going to be some kind of hidden reason that they close out my account and prevent me from getting a payout the next thing I would probably look for is how is the community responding to their payout history? Is there a
That's right.
clear path to getting payouts? And is there consistency in that? Or have people been claiming that they're not getting paid out? Obviously, any reports of people getting their accounts closed with no notice or without reason would be concerning. It would be very frustrating to be 20, 30 days into a prop firm strategy to suddenly realize that all your hard effort is not going to be rewarded. So I want to see a path to consistent payouts. I think the next thing is really kind of like, what are the expectations? Just looking at Topstep, it's a pretty high order what they're looking for. At every level, they're looking for 6% returns per month. Assuming that you want to hit your profit target in less than a month. A $3,000 profit target on a $50,000 account is a 6% return. That's really big return. So to do that consistently is something that requires a considerable amount of skill and, of course, some market luck. The one thing I would be looking for is, are there risk parameters so tight that it's actually difficult to achieve those goals? And all of that can be fairly well measured mathematically.
That's right. And a couple of things I take a look at is the what it costs for you to enter into that prop firm. And so some people have some of these systems have monthly costs, and others you're paying for the challenge itself.
Mm-hmm.
And there's pros and cons to both of those things. The different features that get that become available to you accordingly. And so I bring this up specifically with how people think about TradersPost. So we will get a number of tickets where people will say, "Try us out." They're trying to free trial out, or they tried it for a little while, and then they stop, and then they come back later on, and they sort of like burn their free trial with that sort of idea, because they thought to themselves, "Okay, I'm just going to sign up and then just try it from here." And then it turns out, well, there is this monthly cost that you have to keep in mind. And so if you're interested in prop firms, you want to, since there is an upfront cost. If you're dealing with one that has a monthly fee, you got to factor that into what you need to make and how long you can fiddle around before you can actually deal with a strategy that makes that payment worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
So the payment costs, and then the second one, and I know this is self-serving, but there is something to be said for already getting used to a platform that allows for integration with a platform like TradersPost. Because
sorry, that should have been the obvious one. Do they allow automation? I have a whole list I've gone through now, and I'm only working with the ones that allow automation.
Well, because even if you're not, let's say for some reason you're watching this and you're not using TradersPost right now, you're not automating it. The threading the needle you need to do in order to make sure that you're avoiding the drawdowns and to be able to actually squeeze out the profit that you need in order to make it worthwhile, like lends itself to automation. Like it really does. You're not there. You're not going to be a victim of your own emotions. Mike and I have talked about it several times before, where we're comfortable in certain circumstances in our own accounts to wear a significant drawdown. And you don't have that opportunity when you're dealing with prop firms, right? Your account will be gone. You'll fill the evaluation, you'll fill the account. And so already knowing that automation is available and having that as a feature in the back burner, to me, would be like, okay, I want to know that that's there in case I need to use it. I don't have to learn a whole new system afterwards.
Yep. Yeah, and I think on that subject, the ones that I found so far, at least that work with Tradevate, which is of course supported by TradersPost, Topstep allows bots. They're specific about it in their terms. I believe Elite Trader Funding allows bots. At least they have lots of threads on the topic, and I haven't found anything that specifically bans the use of automation. Blue Guardian allows automation, but they just don't allow HFT scalping style trades. But that's not going to work on TradersPost anyway. So that's obviously one that we also don't allow. So what you're looking for is an entry that should be in a position for at least 15 minutes. 5 to 10 would be the absolute minimum. Beyond that, like most of my trades in my current strategy, which is a profitable strategy, it's winning about 70% of the time, has a profit factor of 2, takes about at the low end 11 days to pass an eval, and about 30 days on average in order to pass an eval account. But it's a low risk strategy. It's meant to be consistent. It's meant to just keep taking trades and executing those trades throughout the day. But the average time I'm in a position is about 7 hours. I'm taking most of the session if I'm in the right direction. So another one besides Blue Guardian was potentially Apex. From what I understand, that's kind of an iffy subject, though. I think things are changing over there at Apex. But at least the few that I've mentioned here so far are the ones that I know are supported.
Cool. All right. Next question. Someone was asking, does TradersPost provide a promo code for returning customers? Do we incentivize people who have tried out TradersPost, they burned their free trial, let's say, but they want to come back and they want to have a lower cost to begin with? Is that something that we do?
At the moment, we do offer an incentive on your way out the door. If you're canceling your account, we do have a promotion sort of built into our system to try to keep you there. Of course, we want to keep customers as long as we can. If you're on your way back, though, and we haven't reached out to you in a while, there is a campaign we send for customers that we're hoping to come back and have another look at us. Feel free to just reach out. There's always promotions going on all the time. We have a promotion we're starting next week for Halloween, another one for Black Friday, and we have a Christmas special we're doing. But if you're looking for something right away, feel free to reach out to us. Support at TradersPost.io. We can look up your account and are happy to offer incentives to get you back.
That's right. Okay, so I know we've answered the question a couple of times. Just to mention it here because it was asked this week by Maxor. Can I send a trade execution from TradingView to MetaTrader?
I'm not sure.
Why would they go through from TradingView to MetaTrader?
Yeah, I'm not sure how that would work. Did we misinterpret the question, or was that?
Yes, I think phrased? I copied and pasted it wrong.
Okay. From MetaTrader to TradersPost, yes, if that was the question.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, if you look in our documentation, I just recently did a whole library to support webhook trading from MetaTrader 5 and fully tested it in my StoneX account. Everything looks good. And by this, I mean, I'm using StoneX for the market data, but then I'm sending the signal through to be executed at TradeAbate. So it does work. You can get pricing data. You can do all of your back tests. And then, of course, you can set up alerts to execute your JSON request over to TradersPost from MetaTrader 5. So you effectively just have to download the TradersPost library, which is built into this documentation page, get that integrated into your script, and then sort of follow the directions for how you would set up your messaging on tick. So you'll have to write your own rules for when the trade signals should be sent. I did include an example EA, but that EA just takes the trade on the very first tick. So you'll have to kind of take this as an example and write it into your own EA. If you don't have access to your EA, that's sort of a different issue that I haven't figured out a solution to. But if you're writing your own EA, you should be able to integrate the TradersPost library in order to send webhooks from MetaTrader 5 to TradersPost.
Excellent. All right. Someone was asking here. I sent a signal to buy a put on coin on the. This is for equities, but it bought 2 weeks out instead of 1 week out, as in their strategy. Why would that be? So in this particular, sorry, go ahead if you want to answer.
Yeah, I think the main problem is that our filter for expirations is essentially a starting point. So if we can't find any contracts at the 1 week expiration date, then we go to the next expiration date, which in this case might have been 2 weeks out or maybe 10 days out or something like that. I'd have to look at this exact trade, but essentially think of our filter as a minimum date, and then it just continues to go down the expiration chain until it can find a contract that will fit your criteria.
That's right. Perfect. All right. All right. So someone was asking here if there's a way to set up 4 subscriptions so that they could be sort of activated and deactivated automatically. So that if one is, so if there's a way to set up 4 subscriptions so that if one were to be activated, the others would be automatically deactivated. And once it closed that position, all 4 would activate once again. This is something I know I've tossed this around in some of the meetings, this idea where the subscriptions themselves become more dynamic, more conditional. Is this something that TradersPost is thinking about?
I haven't seen this come up enough to make it to our product roadmap. I like the idea of it. Effectively, the strategies themselves would operate as gates that would allow other strategies to operate. where if you're in a position within one strategy, then the others would be deactivated perhaps. We don't really have any automated control that changes the active or inactive state between strategies or subscriptions for that matter. But it is an interesting idea. I'd be very curious about the exact use case for this, because it's possible, if I understand this need clearly, that you could still create some of this logic from TradingView, depending on why it needs to be done this way. But in general, this type of conditional logic, these rules that you're describing here in this scenario, if they literally cannot be solved within TradingView or wherever your signal source is derived, then yeah, I'd like to see this somewhere on the product roadmap if there's a stronger demand for something like this.
Yeah, I could understand that. I have a client recently who was asking for something along these lines where they have one strategy for long, one strategy for short, and one for consolidation. And what they wanted was that when the long trade stopped out, if it was stop loss on the long trade, then it would assume a consolidation range. And then the point of that consolidation range would be to trade until it made enough money to cover what was lost in the long position. And so it would only run there, but it wouldn't run all the time. Only when the long entry stopped out. And it's so strange to do in PineScript because you basically have to build multiple strategies in one, and then have it figure out what to do. And the signals that are being sent out there now become even more unreliable, because even though TradingView says that it's that the position is open or closed or what have you, there might be this discrepancy with what's going on with the actual account. And so I'm like sitting there programming it, and I was like, oh my god, imagine having the strategies set up in TradersPost, and it's the signal that's saying, hey, activate now the consolidation strategy, and then another signal goes through and says, okay, now deactivate that, and those rules are already set up, and those alerts for consolidation ranges are sent all the time to TradersPost, but they only actually fire when that condition is on. So I was like, okay, this is crazy to ask TradersPost to do, because I think it's like me and two other people have mentioned anything like that, and all of our cases were completely different. How do you test that? But I can understand that that's something that means that there's so many more features that we could make in the future. Like there's no limit to what we can actually do.
I think in theory, maybe the easiest way to work on something like this would be to create another webhook action that allows you to activate or deactivate a strategy, or enable or disable a strategy. So you could create an alert from TradingView that turns it on or off, and you would specify the strategy ID, whatever that is, in your JSON payload. So then it can still be condition based, but it's really, most of that condition is on your side. You would have to send over the alert in order to turn those gates on and off, if you will. Something like that could probably be possible, but we'd have to look into that a little bit closer.
Well, on the same lines, as far as people asking for things, are there any plans of adding a break-even option to TradersPost that it gets activated automatically? So it's a setting within. You don't have to handle it within your script, but if you toggle this option on, as soon as we move toward past a certain level, a break-even is handled at the TradersPost level. Is that something that comes up often? I feel like I hear it all the time, but it might just be for my own thoughts.
My understanding is to mean that if you have a big enough draw up in your equity within a position, that it would raise the stop to the break-even point.
Correct, exactly. Take into consideration fees, commissions, and all that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
Or offset manually. It's in TradingView or asked to that all the time for PineScript development. Always add a break-even option. But since we have we have take profits, we have stop loss, we have different types of orders that can happen in TradersPost, having a break-even option could be useful. Just one less thing to program.
I would fit this into the category that I'll define as algorithmic orders. And by that, I mean that type of logic exists outside of the broker. So for the most part, we try to integrate stop losses and take profits and trailing stops at the broker level, because those brokers typically handle those types of algorithmic orders. This type of order where we're canceling your existing stop and then moving it to a new price point that represents what you would consider break even after fees and commissions, would be another type of algorithmic order that occurs after the entry trade has taken place. We don't have a whole lot of support for those types of algorithmic orders on our side, but we are looking into it. One early example of this would be that we handle the take profit and stop loss after the entry is completed. So for example, you may send an order to enter a position where the broker doesn't support bracket orders, and we wait for the entry to be filled, and then we get your average price, and then we determine the take profit and stop loss levels from that average entry price. That is what I would consider an algorithmic order. And it's probably one of the first things that we would integrate if we head down that path. What we need to clarify with a lot of our brokers is which ones support algorithmic orders and which ones don't, because there actually are a number of brokers that don't support that type of algorithmic use of their API. So we'd have to get clear about which ones we would support it and which ones we wouldn't. And then the break-even option could make that list as being one of the options we integrate. It gets more complex when we need to listen to the price in order to manage people's orders. Right now, one of the reasons that we push this off to the broker is that the broker already has the pricing data and they're managing your trades through market data. We don't have like live market data that we're monitoring in order to manage all of these positions. So it would be a pretty significant boost in our technology infrastructure in order to support this, but not out of the realm of possibility. Definitely something we want to consider.
Okay, excellent. This is a question that showed up in Discord recently. User was asking, I do wish there was a way to eliminate the delay from TradingView to execution. My strategy works off of buy and sell and sends signals from TradingView to TradeRPost. That 0.5-second delay price can move 10 to 15 ticks easily. Is there a way to work with ATMs so that as soon as an entry is made, it's setting my stop loss X amount of ticks from the entry price inside of the TradeRPost and eliminate that delay on exit? So this actually can be handled with a broker specifically for them for a TradeRPost. You can send a bracket order, just like what Mike was just talking about. If you send the take profit and stop loss with the initial entry order, well, then the order is sitting on the broker side and will be completed the moment the condition is true. Whereas right now, the user is sending in a signal from TradingView, and that's where the delay is coming in. Now, for brokers where you can't send a bracket order, well, then there's no real choice. You do have to send the signal yourself. However, and I believe Cam was saying this inside of the Discord, John recently optimized the platform so that the delay is even shorter. I think we're down to like 0.1 second or something like that for in some cases. So we understand that the delay is a thing that, ideally we want to get it down to zero, but that's not possible. As John has said many times, there is the speed of light to consider, but there's no real way around that if the broker does not support bracket orders.
Yeah, this TradeRPost example is one that's a little tough because while you can send the bracket, you have to send over the current market price, and that market price can change along the way, right? In that half a second delay. The half a second delay, though, is kind of outside of our control. That's the time it takes for the alert to occur on the servers at TradingView, and the time that they kick off a webhook call off to TradersPost, and the time it takes for us to receive that signal. That timing right there, we have zero control over speeding up that operation. The timing that you just referred to, which is a tenth of a second or 100 milliseconds, is the time it takes us to ask the broker for the information about your open positions and then enter a new position on your behalf or adjust your position or whatever the rules are from there. So the brokers are typically very fast in terms of responding to us about your positions and then us speeding up the process of executing. We've also figured out other ways to optimize that process beyond that. And we're keeping things as fast as possible. But just catching the ball from TradingView, we can't control how fast they pitch it to us. That's always going to take that half a second delay, unfortunately. And there's not much we can do to speed that process up.
Understood. When we get quantum computers and the internet runs on crypto, I think then it will be much faster. We'll see. So I thought it might be fun to just answer a couple of questions that or comments that I saw on Reddit. Do you mind if I throw a couple at you?
Let's do it.
So this person was asking, what is the best way to approach automated trading? I have attempted to write a script on Thinkorswim and convert it to Ninja Script to no avail. What's the best platform for automated trading scripting? Also, those who have done this themselves, how did you go about doing it? And so, I mean, I responded, letting them know that you can always do, you can always use TradersPost. I mean, that's always going to be my response. But to be fair, using a third-party platform like us is the way to go about it. This is someone speaking who has tried before I found TradersPost. I tried to do this stuff myself, and my God, there's so many balls to juggle. There's so many variables you have to take into consideration. Everything seems to work well on the surface, and then you have a problem, and then you have to build a new feature, which is how TradersPost was built, right? As a solution for John to do this for himself, and the next thing you know, he built a whole company around it because he realized there's all these pain points that existed. Mike Jordan as well. And so, using a third-party platform, I mean, I don't see any way around that.
Yeah, I think there's trade-offs to either approach. I've done it every single way you can think of. I've had direct integrations with the exchanges, with brokers, from Python code that I've written in the past, and I've had entire infrastructure that I've stood up that ran in my own environment with a combination of Python and Node.js to listen for live pricing, and I've had it be as instantaneous as it can possibly be, working with the APIs that are provided by them. But that requires maintenance. It requires that you make changes to the software whenever the broker or exchange changes their APIs. Now it's not just the trade management you're having to do and the strategy management, but now I have to manage these broker APIs too. I've also done it within third-party platforms like Quantopian and QuantConnect, where they allow you to send your trade signals off to brokers that they've integrated with. We even have a path there with QuantConnect now where you can actually send out a webhook request from those strategies. So for more complex strategies that are more portfolio management based, where you're managing a basket of stocks and using indicators to decide what stocks to pick up or what symbols to trade based on different types of quantitative approaches, I think platforms like that make a ton of sense. For something like TradingView or TrendSpider, or something that you're not really writing a lot of code for and you're not knee deep and entrenched in that like quant process, you're just looking to automate an indicator, I think that's really, you know, where TradersPost shines. We're in that no code category where you can just very simply connect your trade source wherever that is. It can be in a spreadsheet, in MetaTrader, in TrendSpider, TradingView, whatever it is, just send off your trade signal to us and we'll map that to the broker that we support. And I think right now we support 14 brokers and that list is growing. So the ease of which in which you can connect and dial in your strategy by using a platform like ours obviously makes a ton of sense for a lot of people. But there is obviously very many different ways you can approach automation. It's just a question of what are your exact needs? How difficult is your strategy? How complex in it? How many orders do you need to execute? Is it one symbol, one indicator? Are you running multiple things at the same time? So I think all of those things kind of have to be analyzed in order to determine what solution is best for you. But having been down the block of doing the other two paths, it is a lot of extra work to can make these connections to other brokers and to actually write your own code to connect to their APIs.
I shouldn't have started off with connecting to interactive brokers for trading. I didn't realize that was way more of a headache. I was like, why is this so hard? But I should mention, I know it sounds biased, but this is actually true. Before I even heard about TradersPost, I tried so many other platforms for automated trading because as a PineScript developer, I was a client who had, they throw something at me, hey, figure out a way of automating this. And I remember always running into hurdles. Like some of these platforms, some of our competitors, they do one thing very well, and then you try to do something else, you try to make a modification, and you're like, why am I having this limitation? And I found that on TradersPost, every time I hit you guys with a question, hey, how about this, how about that, it's very clear why it doesn't do it if it doesn't do it. But then often it's like, no, that feature actually does exist. You just need to have this combination, and then you can actually go ahead and do it. And I'm like, oh my god, that's like so much better. Plus the ability to contact support and actually get immediate feedback from like a real person. And then also the feature roadmap. The features just keep on coming. If you go to the TradersPost doc and you take a look at the upcoming releases, I don't know if you're watching, you haven't been there lately, you're gonna read that and you'll be like, this is what's coming with screenshots and descriptions. Like this is already on the roadmap. Not to mention what's already been there. So it's this platform that keeps evolving better and better. We have that mentality. I'll just name drop here. I was doing using 3 comments the other day, and I'm all set up with a strategy. It's going to trade crypto in this particular way for this client, and then I go and it's not working. And I go, why is it not working? Well, it turns out that even though it suggests that you can send the signal for these instruments, well, you can only really trade 200 instruments on the crypto exchange. You can't actually trade all the coins that are there. I'm like, wait, what? The coins are on TradingView that I could send the signal, but it would only do these 200. Yeah, but there are hundreds and hundreds of coins. Yeah, you can't trade those. It doesn't say that anywhere. I was like, oh my god. So then I have to completely abandon it. And frankly, that client, I said, you know what, we got to use TradersPost. He said, all right, let's move off the TradersPost. But I was like, it's such a weird. It was such a weird limitation, and I found stuff like that on all kinds of different competitors, and I don't have that sense here at TradersPost. So that's my my testimonial as I evangelize for the platform.
Well, I appreciate that feedback. Obviously, we try to be as flexible as possible and apply to every scenario you can think of. I think there are some future roadmap items that are coming that will expand us even further into a domain that will make a lot of automated traders pretty happy. One thing that's kind of missing at the moment is you can't send one signal with a bunch of orders packed into it. I know that's something that you've played around with recently, and we've got some ideas on how to solve that. Another thing is obviously being able to send over a bunch of symbols and their weightings, so you could do something closer to portfolio rebalancing and basically reassign what weighting you want to each symbol. So we understand there's hundreds of thousands of different ways to trade the markets. And we're trying to create a product that works for so many different scenarios. And what we tend to do is look for the scenarios that crop up the most. So one thing that helps tremendously is, of course, reaching out to us, give us your use case. We'll see if it exists already, to Tom's point earlier. In some cases, we can support it. You just didn't realize how you needed to wire it up in order to get it to work. If we can't support it, though, we're looking for that feedback so that we can continue to tally up votes for what's needed and then add that to our feature roadmap.
So that's synchronistic. That lines up with the next Reddit post here, where the person was asking how to integrate a strategy directly into a broker. So they said that I currently have a strategy in TradingView I created that has about a 70 to 85% win rate. I have alerts set on it and a webhook connected to TradersPost, which makes trades for me on TradeRPost. The only problem I am having right now is that the TradingView alerts get automatically disabled because it sends too many alerts. This has caused me to miss out on trades, and so on and so forth. And so this idea here of actually just wanted to touch on this idea of too many trades, because and I should actually maybe I'll do a how-to for this on Thursday. But until we get the queuing orders on TradersPost, it's actually possible to do this on TradingView. You can queue the alerts that should fire, and then not natively in TradingView, but in PineScript, you can queue the alerts that should fire, and then just have a timing mechanism that waits whatever amount of time you want, so that it sends the orders one at a time. Now, it doesn't work for the 1 minute chart or something like that, but I trade the 12-hour, the 2-hour up to the daily, and for those it's perfectly fine. And so I have this queue that shows there, and then boom, every 3 minutes, well, in this case every 10 seconds, it'll send an alert out, which I thought was super cool, just to be able to send out alerts like that and just be able to trade hundreds of tokens.
That is a very clever use of arrays within PineScript. I assume you're putting the queue into an array in PineScript, correct? Okay.
That's right.
I'm looking forward to taking a look at your code. This is a very clever strategy for sure, to queue up all the alerts in message form and then send them out on the next close of whatever the bar is, right? Or the interval that you've selected.
No, you don't even have to wait for the close of bar. What it's using the time now variable, since that's
so you're
the only
sending it through
variable
a
that has
loop
real
then.
time right now. What's going on?
It's
Yes,
so
it's a loop that's happening.
you're timing it between each tick, and then when the next tick happens, then it checks the time between the last one, and if it reaches that point, then you send off the message. Very interesting. As always, I love that we have one of the best PineScript developers on the planet working for TradersPost. Very clever.
I was like, okay, this is cool. And I have it running on a dashboard script that goes through basically all the coins that are on Binance. And so I'm doing 383 coins at the moment. And then it batches it so that, because I know I have 10 instances, it'll do it. It'll send a maximum of 15 every 3 minutes, or it'll spread it out so that it's just constantly running, and it's just this alert firing, constantly sending off.
That's so cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Perfect. All right. So 2 last things. One, I thought there was a pretty interesting question. How about adding trade journaling feature to TradersPost or integrating with an existing option?
I'll think about it. All right, I'll tell you what. I've decided. Yes, this is obviously, or not obviously. We are very much doing this. We are actually heads down. In fact, in 10 minutes or so, I'm going to be jumping onto one of our envisioning meetings to keep drafting out what this trade journaling feature is going to have. It is something we're actively working on. We've got some P&L stats that will be coming, ways to track your performance within your strategies at the broker level, at the trade level, at the strategy level. And we're looking at different ways to break up the stats there to show it in different visually appealing ways. You know, a trade calendar, a way to sort of notate your trades, label them, things like that. Definitely something we've wanted to do for a long time. So we're very pumped about releasing this in the coming months. Yeah, somewhere around there. I don't want to give a timeline just yet, because we want to do it right. We want to release something you guys are really excited about. But if you do have specific ideas for what you love about trade journaling software that you currently use, hit us up at support@traderspost.io. I would love your feedback on this. I've used a bunch myself. I've built custom analytics systems for my own strategies in the past. I know what I like, and obviously my vision is going to take part in this as well. John has a vision for it. We're kind of like imparting our own idea of it. We're doing a little bit of analysis of what other tools are providing, but everybody's got kind of a different opinion on this. So I would love your feedback on this if you have some.
Excellent. All right. And finally, I thought we'd leave off with Adventure Trader, who messaged, I work a lot, and I know I'm not in Discord enough, but I want to give a shout out to all the people making TradersPost. And I really enjoy using algo trading, and this is the best product by far. Thank you for all you do. Thanks, Adventure Trader.
Appreciate that so much. He's so also he or she, I'm not actually sure, is a regular to our show every week, and I'm always excited to see them there.
Excellent. All right, so that's it for today for office hours. We'll be back next Tuesday. So send your questions online, YouTube, support tickets, Discord. We're going to get them all. And we'll see you on Thursday for our how-to series, where we're going to walk through a particular idea. That should be a pretty fun thing to do every week. And then, of course, on Friday, we'll be here for after hours. So thank you very much, and thank you very much, Mike, for your time.